The Jays won 2 of 3 from the Texas Rangers on the weekend, capping the weekend with a 9-6 win over Texas yesterday at the Rogers Center. A sloppy game, 15 hits for the Jays, 12 hits for Texas. Casey Janssen needing to be bailed out by Aaron Loop. And Joe, I guess for a lot of people, the takeaway from this game, first of all, the Jays won a series, which is good. But I think a lot of people will look at Mark Buehrle's outing. 6 innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. And coupled with what we saw out of his previous start against Tampa, there may be some people there wondering whether or not Mark Buehrle's kind of coming back to earth. And I would suggest to them that at some point he was going to come back to earth.
Well, career numbers usually speak volumes, and we said it back in May, and we continued to say it in June, although Mark Buehrle continued to prove us wrong the way he continued to pitch. But you don't expect, or you can't expect, Mark Buehrle to stay as hot as he was. He was absolutely outstanding, off the charts, best start of his career, and you have to expect that to come down a little bit. Now, he's been on a terrible losing stretch here in terms of decisions, but he had been pitching pretty well still, just not getting a lot of run support. But I think yesterday and his outing in Tampa before the break were both, to me, a little bit, I don't want to say red flags, but I think it was an indication that, whether he's in that mid-season funk, that little dead arm funk, and I know he doesn't throw hard, high-velocity guy, but when I say dead arm, that doesn't mean just losing velocity. What that means is losing sharpness and effectiveness of your pitches. Mark Buehrle lives on the corners, and he is very good at it. He throws 4 different pitches. He's always away. He's always coming in. That's what he continues to do. He stays away from the middle of the plate. I thought yesterday and then against Tampa, too, he was upset, disappointed that his pitch count was spiked a little bit because he was falling behind a little bit more and missing his spots a little bit more. When you're missing your spots, you're just not as sharp and crisp with your delivery, and that can happen.
Speaking of falling, yesterday there was an incident, a balk called against Mark Buehrle where he stumbled delivering a pitch. He appeared to catch his cleat on the front of the mound. But before that, Joe, there was a play at first base. Actually, there were a couple of plays at first base where I thought Mark Buehrle looked a little slow getting over to the bag. Now, I'm not going to read anything into this, but I think it gets to what you said, and we were talking before the show. He just wasn't sharp. It was not the sort of sharp Mark Buehrle we expect to see.
No, and I think we've been spoiled for a few months, too, because he's been so darn good that sometimes you pitch that well, and now it's come to be expected of him. But as I said, I don't think when you see him start those first few months, he's on pace to go 27-2 with a 2.2 ERA. We knew that wasn't going to happen. So I think right now you have to realize that the numbers are just settling in for Mark Buehrle. They're settling back to the norm or back to where he should be. Now, because he started so well, for those numbers to go back to the norm, then he's obviously not going to pitch well. Well, I don't think that's necessarily the case, but you're starting to see that. He's human. He's not getting any younger. And you talk about him covering first base, and the one time he had to slide into first base there, I thought when I saw it, he may have jammed his ankle a little bit. So did I. I hope that is not the case, but we'll see. And, yeah, that was a very unfortunate balk call, but I'll tell you what, if Mark Buehrle wants one pitch back from that game, it's after the balk call, and it's the 2-run single by Robertson. That really tied the game, and I think that's the one that he would love to have back that really disappointed him more than anything.